Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here speaking this afternoon, so thank you for inviting me. I need to say that Gladden Village is 100% sort of village run, so I'm not really sort of speaking as some sort of leader in it, but I did sort of bring it together with my Spanish friend, Paula. So basically, I'm going to stick to notes because I could talk about Gladden for far too long, and I realise that I'm sort of time limited, so I'm going to stick to notes to keep me on course. Okay, Gladden Village is a fictional online village built on heritage stories. It was co-founded by myself and my young Spanish friend, Paula, who lives in Alicante. Paula and I are heritage professionals, but first and foremost, we are human beings. We both have family who know what loneliness and isolation is. We both have family and friends who have experience of mental ill health in different episodes and sometimes repeating episodes. We both agree with the old quote that suggests to journey away from the familiar has always been one of the best travelled roads through recovery. And for the majority of people, the past is less familiar than the present. Finally, we also recognise that the volume of online heritage engagement activities started reducing as COVID lockdown started reducing. And we were very aware that there are still people for whom COVID lockdowns made no difference. Their lives were maybe more at home than the rest of us would have. So we wanted to make sure that, again, they weren't sort of left behind because the sector, quite rightly, was coming back to being in person and more on site. So we were just sort of going to hold on to these virtual communities. So what is Gladden Village? Essentially, as said, it's a fictional online village and is open to everyone who is 18 plus. I'm going to talk a little bit about the coffee house slightly later, but we have, at the village at the moment, we have the coffee house, the library, and a post office, like every village should have. So the Gladden Library, villagers can contribute to and browse through our book recommendations, read our poem of the week, or simply be inspired by the quotes and thoughts that are found there. Our recommended read for March is actually a fascinating book, which is non-fiction by Dr. Victoria Sweet, and it's called God's Hotel, a doctor, a hospital, and a pilgrimage to the heart of medicine. And it was actually in this book that we got inspired for our Gladden Village values, which are hospitality, community, and compassion. And in the reading room, you will actually find a whole long host of research papers that relate to the heritage and the benefits of heritage to well-being and health, and also wider cultural engagement in that as well, because we're very aware that some of our villagers are really interested in that. So if you want a fast way to lots of research papers to do with health and heritage, go to the Gladden website and go into the reading room. And the post office, it is our main portal through which the villagers can sort of share news and happenings and their travel accounts and so on. At the moment, it's predominantly done through a quarterly Gladden Gazette. So that also works really nicely for the villagers who prefer to sort of communicate through the written word, those that maybe don't come along to the coffee house. And like any village, you can get involved in the village life as much as you wish and in a way that is comfortable and sort of confident for you. So it's free, it's online. We have villagers who are living in Canada and in Spain and in England, Scotland, Ireland. So we're very much a sort of an international blend of people. It's open to anyone who's over 18, but we do particularly welcome people, and it was really created to support people who may benefit from an increased sense of connection to others in the world around them, who are seeking maybe weekly respite from whatever stress, responsibilities, cares or concerns are present in your life just now. Also people like I'm sure many in this room who just have an enthusiasm and an energy around exploring heritage stories. For people who are preparing for or struggling with any of life's transitions, lots of our members have maybe recently been bereaved or left, have had their children leave home and they're just a little bit lost. And also we're very, very welcoming to anyone who has anxiety or burnout and that type of thing. And we aim to create a sense of belonging So you probably all know that back in the day, the biomedical approach was the most sort of familiar, but thankfully with modernized thinking, it's now viewed more as a biopsychosocial approach. We very much sit in the green bit, which is the social, and we sort of would be looking for lots of support from specialists in the psychology side to do anything else. We may, in the near future, be looking to do a partnership and opening a heritage apothecary on the village, but that would be in partnership with somebody who is a mental health professional or a psychologist, obviously. But what we did decide is that we would definitely have a psychology-informed approach to the village, and we just chose to go with Carl Riff's 6-factor model of psychological well-being. So obviously Gladden cannot do all of these things, but we like to think that for many of the villagers, it can certainly hit one or two of the ones in sort of bold. So pursuit of meaningful goals and a sense of purpose, self-acceptance, establishment of quality ties to others, and continued growth and development as a person. And hopefully we will evidence some of that shortly. So this is the coffee house. The coffee house happens every Wednesday night from September to June. And we have a host of things that go on. We've got what was really important to us is obviously that the villagers themselves run a lot of the coffee house things. So we have this mix of villager-led coffee house sessions and visitor-led. I'm pretty confident, if not people in this room, but definitely people at this conference will have been visitors to the Gladden Coffee House. So, for example, we had Kevin from the Jim Clark Motor Museum, and all you do as a visitor is you just turn up with 30 minutes of engaging heritage stories. It does not have to be about a place. It can be about sort of people or things. We've had the history of the honeybee. So we have just people who have a real passion for some heritage stories. And some of them are professionals and some of them are just very enthusiastic amateurs. The ones that are more villager-led are the unsung heroes and heroines. That can be human or non-human. So we have had villagers who have come along and championed their local church, which has had a very interesting history. We have had a sergeant from an army who was a horse. So we get to meet lots of heroines and heroes that I've certainly never come across before. Everybody loves the quarterly quiz session. The Farmers First, that was new. That's been over the winter period, really, and that just was simply the first Wednesday of each month over winter was around farming heritage and rural heritage. And yeah, I think that was all I was going to say there. A little bit more to see them. The old toys and games, if you hadn't been going along to the drinks reception this evening, you might have wanted to join that. So we have centuries of ... and that's just when the villagers come into the coffee house and we have given a theme and they just share their stories of that thing. So we've had centuries of parenting, centuries of school, and tonight's is centuries of old toys and games. So this is some of the feedback. I mean, because we are 100% volunteers, we have no funding. We don't need any funding. So we don't have to do evaluation. We don't have funders or senior managers or boards to be accountable to, but we obviously want the village to be the best it can be. So this is some of the feedback we've had from members. Hold on. So as you can see, it's all pretty positive. We have had some areas of improvement, which is also very equally welcome. And those have included things like, could we record the coffee house sessions when there are visitors there for members who haven't been able to get along that particular evening? We'd always gone against recording because the point is to be there in person. Otherwise, it's not a live experience. However, having said that, because the villagers are very loyal, very often they might have somebody who's in hospital and they just have to go on a hospital visit or whatever. Lots of other reasons for why they can't be in the coffee house, and they feel that they're then missing out on hearing the visitors. So we're going to have a wee think about that. Another one was, could we have the coffee house open other nights and just literally allow the villagers get to know each other? without any sort of themes or anything like that. So that's another thing we will look at. But as I say, at the moment, it's mostly Paula and myself who look after. It's all done on Zoom. So it's always Paula or myself have to set up and open the Zoom room. So we'll be looking for the villagers themselves to volunteer to open the coffee house on other nights, and then we will teach them how to set up a Zoom link, etc. So really, just as you can see there, I've highlighted the words and the things that we had hoped to bring to the villagers. So I think, you know, we've more or less done that for a lot of the feedback here. But what you will see here, hopefully, is that it's not really so much about the heritage. The heritage is secondary. We just use the heritage as a way to let them chat and get to know each other. So I really love the ones where they've said it's just chatting with others about their lives, and that they sort of realise their own life journey isn't that sort of alone, if you like, because they realise others are going through the same thing. Most of the villagers are female. They are mostly over 55. They have, a lot of them are carers, and some of them have ill health. It means that they can't be out and about. But anyway, it's a fantastic little group of people. And then you can see here, this is one of our members, Donna, said, I have shared my visits to Orkney with villagers through the Gladden Gazette and the Unsung Heroes presentation. I had to do lots of research and prep and improve my digital skills. This really helps improve my self-image and my confidence. Because again, a lot of the villagers are retired, and many of them found retirement quite difficult, and they lost their confidence and everything, even though they were in very, responsible jobs and very efficient in those jobs. Just the idea of being retired made them feel differently about themselves. So some of them have had to rebuild their confidence. Again, just more examples of how to using the keynote presentations and learning from scratch how to do and share a PowerPoint, has developed new skills, and they just want to continue learning, exploring and contributing. So how can you be part of Gladden village life? So if you're from the heritage sector, then do please volunteer to be a visitor in the coffee house. Also, you might want to just send in a guest writer to the Gladden Gazette. Again, you can encourage your volunteers in your own organisations if they want to join Gladden or come along and again come to the coffee house and just share some heritage stories that excite them. Write an article for the Gazette, and maybe it would benefit your own health and well-being, because I come home from work and I have my tea, and then I really look forward to seeing all the villagers online and listening to the visitors or what they have to share with me. Also, if anybody in the room from the health and social care and community care side of things, again, register to be a villager, get a taster of it so you would know what you were potentially referring any of your patients or clients to. Again, particularly for anybody who might be quite housebound. Again, you could consider becoming a villager yourself, or shock horror, you may work in health but actually love some bits of heritage, and you could just come along and be a visitor and deliver heritage that excites you in the coffee house as well. And what I hope to do now, the magic of my phone, you will hear from Mary, because Mary is one of our villagers. And Mary moved from quite south of England to the very north of Scotland for a variety of family reasons. And she was quite happy to give us a recording, but unfortunately we couldn't get it embedded into a slide. So hopefully this will work.
I found out about Gladden Village through another project called Art and Nature Connections. The coordinator, Nicola, suggested that Gladden might offer an interesting diversion and might be worth exploring a bit more. So I contacted Ruthanne and Paula, was warmly welcomed, and soon had a link to join my first Gladden Coffee House session online. I decided to become a villager as soon as I discovered it could offer a shape to my week, something stimulating to look forward to, and also opportunities to take an active part in exploring and sharing heritage activities. Interests and memories are valued by everyone in the group. I've been a carer and more recently became a widow, having moved hundreds of miles to be closer to family. I've led a full and interesting life travelling and living in various parts of the UK and abroad. Gladden gives my life experiences and interests a voice and allows me to share others' experiences too. Since becoming a Gladden villager, I feel more connected and grounded. I've rediscovered the pleasure that can be had in sharing experiences with others and in discovering new interests and heritage-based stories. I've discovered I can still tell stories too, and have regained the confidence I had when leading a class as a tutor and teacher or a WEA group. I look forward to our regular coffee house Zoom meetings, to seeing familiar faces and to gradually taking a more active part in the Gladden experience. And I have Gladden to thank too, for my 11-year-old granddaughter giving me a Zoom and PowerPoint tutorial this weekend. So I'm more ready for whatever Gladden offers next.
Thank you.